We can convert reds to purples, and that's basically an upgrade. As long as we have, like, at least 20 reds by the time we get to the final floor, we will be in good shape. It's relating to a treasure. Oh, we also have the introduction of these candy pop buds, the red ones, the crimson. I think they're called crimson ones. Yeah. Oh, we've got it. Ooh! Oh, crud. Oh, crud. Oh, crud. Oh, crud. Oh, crud. So we got a new variation of Bulborb, which is expected because we're literally in the Bulblax kingdom. Orange Bulborbs have a high sensitivity, and that means they will wake up if you get closer to them, compared to most. So let's get our Pikmin in order, and let's start tossing purple Pikmin a lot sooner than we normally would. Because we need to get rid of these orange Bulbors. They can be tough. Pretty quick treasure, though. Pretty quick treasure. That is pretty good. Because there's going to be a lot of treasure to find here in the Bulblax Kingdom. I'm letting you know that ahead of time. And some of them are pretty valuable. The Crystal Clover. It's basically, I think it's something you attach to a necklace, looks like. Like a necklace jewel. Something like that. I don't know. A brooch. Oh, that was the only treasure. Oh, well, alright then. Where's the exit? The exit's that way, so I guess what we'll do is we'll have one captain stay behind with the other Pikmin. And, yeah, I just kind of do that. Yep, just leave them there and, find the exit. Hopefully it's not blocked off. It's not blocked off. So, yeah, that was a pretty quick floor 1, which can happen sometimes. Sometimes you just get the one enemy with the one treasure spawned right near your starting point. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice, I won't lie. So, yep. Now, the dungeon after this, the final dungeon of the Awakening Wood, I believe it's one floor larger than this. I won't give away how many floors this one has right now. I might do when we get closer. Alright, so we're going to have some fiery threats ahead of us. Hopefully we can find some nectar. That'd be nice. So let's try to take care of the fire geysers. We also have those fiery dweevils returning from the Citadel of Spiders. I say returning even though technically you can skip the Citadel of Spiders and do the Bulbax Kingdom first, but probably still worth mentioning that, because most likely you'll find them there first. So yeah, let's take care of the geysers. There's a treasure there. It's actually looking like that's the only treasure here. And I do want to mention that while we do have immunity to electricity at this point in the adventure, we do not have immunity to fire yet. But as you might be able to guess, there will be a treasure later on that will indeed give you fire immunity. It's a pretty safe assumption after you already get one that gives you electricity immunity. You know, so I don't think that's really spoiling much of anything. That said, there's at least one threat in the game that you will never get an immunity to, technically. So that's probably something I won't talk about right now, but is probably worth mentioning. Only a few dweevils here, so we'll get their carcasses. Why not? Could have sworn there was a third one? I could have sworn. Alright then, I guess just 2 dweevils and the treasure. So that'd be pretty good. Another fairly quick floor. I do seem to recall the Bulblax Kingdom technically being the best cave in the Awakening Wood. I don't know, I kind of like the Hole of Beast, to be honest. I feel like this is a successor to the Hole of Beast, especially when you see what the boss fight is. Anyway, a nice looking blue jewel called a Tearstone. It could be a Lapis Lazuli. You never know. You never know. I think maybe it needs to be a darker shade of blue, though. That's just my artistic sensibilities speaking out. Yeah, it's another one treasure floor. That's interesting. I think the later floors of the Bulbax Kingdom are going to pick that up, though. They're going to pick up steam really quick. We're also not really dealing with overly threatening enemies. The orange Bulborbs can be bad, though, because, like I said, they wake up a lot faster, like, when you get a lot closer to them. Or, not even as, I should say, you don't have to get as close. Okay, we have, technically, the introduction of a new enemy here, the Withering Blowhog, which is a smaller baby form of the Puffy Blowhog from Pikmin 1. I already spoiled that there are Puffy Blowhogs in Pikmin 2. Whoops, my bad. But, yeah, it kind of gives away because you're going to have Withering Blowhogs and you're going to have a stronger variation being the Puffy Blowhog. You already know this. Wait, is there a treasure there, actually? Hold up. Hold up! Yeah, it looks like there's a treasure here. We're gonna grab that. And, yeah, that Pikmin's already on that. But we don't want to deal with the withering blowhogs right now, really, because we want to try and take care of those methodically. So let's go ahead and grab this treasure, which kind of looks like an ammonite fossil. I want to say, that is, I know it's a really random fossil name to bring up, but this is the first thing that comes to mind. Oh, and there goes the blowhard. There goes the blowhard. And this is a pretty hypnotic looking fossil, isn't it? Olimar Night Shell. Alright, so welcome to sublevel 4 of the Bulbax Kingdom. I believe this might be the first one that could be considered difficult. We've got a Violet Candy Pop Bud, which is pretty good. Let's be very, very careful here. I get the feeling this floor is going to have falling rocks. Actually, something you could do is you can scout a floor with just your captain to look around for threats. Oh, we're going to have anode beetles. Okay, and a Wollywog. I was worried about that. You see it spawned from the sky, or the ceiling, I guess. And there's the exit. Okay, so that's pretty good to note. I guess that's all there is with this floor, though. It's right near the landing site, too. Okay, so maybe this floor isn't the one that I had in mind that's going to be pretty bad. Oh! Oh, dang. Okay, we just want to get our yellows right now. Like, for real. Yeah, we kind of just want to do that. Except for the Wollywog. Except for the Wollywog. So there's a gold version of the iridescent flint beetle called the iridescent glint beetle. If it has a treasure, I'm pretty sure it's never going to despawn, thankfully. But, yeah, I kind of want to be more on point now, because, yeah, I'm kind of worried about that. Also got that honey wisp. I think it respawns. Not sure. Oh, yeah, it does. Alright then, we're gonna want the nectar. But let's go ahead and take care of the anode beetle just to get out of the way. Yeah, we might be converting 5 yellows to purples, because we do want to have some reds by the end of the dungeon. At least 20, I want to say. So there we go. Throw a yellow Pikmin over here to take care of this yellow gate that's protecting another honey wisp. So that's a pretty good use of our time right there. Yes, we're going to have to systematically and methodically take out all of these electric-related enemies before we worry about, like, candy pop buds and whatnot. Although I think that might be the only one. For better or for worse. Alright, we want to go back and get... No, there's 2. I definitely counted 2. I don't think I'm seeing things, so... Alright, we're gonna have Louie actually do something kind of, more headstrong than usual. Feels like we've been giving Louie all of the back rolls lately. So, let's have Olimar get the whites and the reds. I guess I may as well have him, like, propagate some purples. They might help out with the Wollywogs, and maybe they'll show up in a later floor or something. You know? But, we're down to 20 reds now, so I'm actually going to want to leave our Pikmin over here, and, believe it or not, kind of want to use yellows for the other one, so... It's an equivalent trade, more or less. Yeah, there we go. 25 yellows and 20 reds. I don't think we have any more to spare, unfortunately. So, I think I actually want to try and get that Wollywog first. Easier said than done with the beetles laying around, though. But, there we go. Okay, the Wollywog is... Oh, and there's the freaking glint beetle, too. Maybe we can go for a double header here. Maybe. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And I don't think that anode beetle has a companion nearby, so... Yep, there we go. It doesn't despawn because it has a treasure, like I implied. So that's pretty stinking good. And there we go. I think that's all of the enemies on this floor taken care of. So we will have Louie and the purple stand by the exit. Let's have Olimar reclaim 10 more purples. So we're going to have 30 purples total. That's pretty good. You know, if I had known that we were going to get that many purples, I probably would have brought in less or less purples. I probably would have started with like 15 and brought more reds, since that's the highest of the three main colors right now. I say main colors because those are the colors that you can easily make more of in the overworld. Purple and whites are kind of side colors. And I don't want to say that in a bad way, because they are some of the most useful Pikmin you can ever find. But that's just how it's structured in the game. You know, I'm not trying to throw shade on anything or anything like that. It's just the way the game does it. So, you know, just rolling with the punches. So it looks like we're going to have two treasures here. Interesting looking ones. So we have like a prism of some sort. I think it's a prism. The Crystal Cane, which just makes me think of the boss from Paper Mario, which I did a Let's Play of, so you should probably check that out. Might be doing a 1,000-Year Door Let's Play soon. I don't know. Can neither confirm nor deny. I don't even know how the scheduling... For all I know, there might already be a 1,000-Year Door long play when this goes up. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We're just kind of rolling with the punches right now. An Unknown Merit. I guess it's a good name because I think that's an outdated currency, maybe? A century or so ago, where the economy was so different that you could actually get a lot of value out of like a quarter. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that and just not even say anything else, because that's going to be really off topic. Alright, so we're going to try and leave some Pikmin here by the landing site, because I think this is going to be a floor that has rocks. Or it's going to have stuff falling from the sky, and when you have a situation like that, it's generally a good idea to have a captain go solo and scout everything out ahead of time. Because, yeah, look, you get bomb rocks, which do return from the original Pikmin, but purely as an obstacle, rather than something, yeah, and there's more bomb rocks over here. This is a good call. So maybe it's, oh, God! Oh, my God! I almost woke up that freaking orange. You know what? Louis, we have a lot of purples now. Take some purples and get rid of the thing. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Alright, good. And there's nothing else by there, so we'll have Louis just extract that carcass and give me a little more peace of mind. Although I guess we're done scouting. Let's check the map. Yeah, it's not a very large floor, is it? Well, alright. I believe all we gotta worry about now are some orange Bulborbs, so let's get our army situated here, and purple Pikmin at the helm, and believe it or not though, I think the dwarf orange Bulborbs, if that's what they're called, I don't think they have heightened sense, but the dwarf Bulbears definitely do. Those definitely notice you from a larger distance, but it's with the orange, the adult orange Bulborbs, it's less that they notice you more in general, it's more that they are easier to wake up, is the way to look at it. It's not so much that they have much higher sensory, it's that they are a lot easier to wake up. They're probably not as nocturnal, I guess, even though they look more nocturnal than a regular red Bulborb, but I don't know, that's neither here nor there. I'm just commenting on things as I see it. Is this really the only treasure here, though? Because it's kind of weird to have all these floors with only one treasure. This looks like another Pilgrim Bulb, which we just got from the above ground of the Awakening Wood not too long ago. But I get the feeling that this is a different treasure. And it's also going to be worth about the same amount of Pokos. This is an Anxious Sprout. It's a sprout just waiting to grow. And yeah, that was the only treasure. You know? At least we didn't lose any Pikmin, so that's pretty good. So this floor, oh, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say there's 7 floors in the Bulbax Kingdom. This is the largest amount of floors thus far. Glutton's Kitchen was the previous best at 6. This is going to be the floor to watch out for. So this one, I definitely want to take a Captain Solo. And we got a Crimson Candy Pop Bud. Might not be a bad thing to use, actually, if you need to reconvert some purples or whites. So this is looking like an otherwise mostly fire-dominated floor right here. So, but, I mean, I just know that there's going to be like, what did I freaking tell you? There's going to be some stuff falling from the floor. Eggs are definitely better than bomb rocks. Like I said, look at that. You don't know until you get there. I could have sworn there were some falling rocks, though. But maybe I'm thinking of another dungeon that's later in the game. Of course, there's also this side with an orange bowboard. That can be very dangerous. Another crimson candy pop bud. Might be overcompensating a little bit at that point. Oh boy. My tights and bomb rocks. Oh my god. And the bomb rock reaches. No, but it kills the my tights. That might be a pretty good spoil right there. Alright. Did we explore every nook and cranny? Again, it's not a very large floor. Another violet candy pop bud, though. That's kind of tempting, actually. But, I don't know if we can do with only 15 reds for the final floor. We only have 20 now. I'm kind of regretting a little bit, because now it would be pretty nice to actually have some for some of these fire geysers. You can take care of fire geysers with purple Pikmin, of course, but it's a little annoying because you have to wait on the timing and whatnot, so we're just kind of going to go old school a little bit here, killing off these dwarf Bulbaxes by throwing Pikmin on the back, just as usual. But there's no adult Bulbaxes to worry about, and Dweevils aren't really all that threatening on their own, so... And thankfully, when an enemy is in the middle of trying to eat a Pikmin, you can, if you kill them, you'll save the Pikmin. So it's pretty good to show that off. Dweevils are notorious for being able to, like, recollect enemy bodies, and when they do, they put them on their back, believe it or not, and they give them, like, an armor of sorts, where they can't really be killed. So, yeah. Alright, it looks like this side is, pretty clear. So, I don't know if 20 red Pikmin are going to be enough to get that fossil. So, I believe now I want to try and take the purples, and just the purples, try and take care of the orange Bulborbs over there. So I guess while they're going to try and work on that, I also kind of want to take care of that Dweevil, but... let sleeping Dweevils lie? I guess. I mean, it might be better to leave it alone, rather. Actually, how many yellows do we have? We have 25 yellows. Honestly, it might be weird, but I think I might want to take those into the purples, because we do need purple Pikmin, sadly. So I will worry about that. And the fossil... Dun dun dun. Yeah, I had to say that. Fossil! Dun dun dun. It does seem like there are quite a few fossils, or fossil-like treasures in the Bulbax Kingdom, as well as some jewels. I guess that's kind of the prevailing theme here. So that's pretty neat. Alright, but we are going to have Louie go, yes, over here. Try to be wary of the geysers. Fire geysers. Oh. Dun dun dun! Yeah, I just had to do that. Now this fossil is worth a good bit of Pokos, though. The Colossal Fossil. Looking at it, I can't exactly place what kind of an animal skull it is. Could be a saber-toothed tiger, could be some sort of prehistoric rodent or rat, for all we know. And that looks like another Crystal Clover situation. So that was like the first treasure we got here was the Crystal Clover, and then this is like the last treasure. Kind of makes things feel like they come full circle, almost. And this is just a nest bed of Mytite, corpses, and nectar. None of which are nectar sprays, unfortunately. That would have been nice. That would have been very nice. So, we do still have that fire geyser. So here's what I'm going to want to do. We are going to... No, I don't think we're going to... I think we're just going to let that Dweeful be alone, to be honest. So let's grab all of these Pikmin. And, again, it's going to seem weird, but I think the yellows are the call here. I'm going to try not to do this too much in the future, though. Definitely go with whatever is the highest numbered ones, because those will be the most disposable. Even though you're not really losing Pikmin, you're just converting them to another color. Although I wouldn't be surprised if after a point we will have more purples than either yellows or blues, which would be kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. But, yeah. So we can go ahead and use these Pikmin to clear out this room. Let's get the... No, 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 no. That's not what I meant to do, game. I think my D-pad might be glitchy now. Let's throw some reds on the geyser. 10 of them will get it done at a quick enough pace. And let's get the purples that we just raised up. Try to get them flowered up, but that might be a little difficult. We got all these carcasses in the way. Well, that certainly helps. Yep. So there we go. Thankfully, my type bodies, they're worth 1 Poco, and they only require 1 Pikmin to carry. But considering the quantity with which they show up, still a pretty good payout, I would say, for an enemy that technically can't kill Pikmin. So they are virtually no threat unless there are other threats around them, because they scare the Pikmin, so it's an indirect threat rather than a direct threat, as it were. But as you can see, for the most part, the Bulbax Kingdom is tougher than, say, the Glutton's Kitchen or something like that. The Eternal Emerald Eye. It complements the Crystal Clover quite nicely. It's still not, like, that hard. I would say this is the first, like, medium difficulty dungeon in the game, truth be told. But anyways, we are done. Gotta make sure we're heading in the right direction. And we are ending with 20 red, 20 yellow, 35 purple. We're gonna have 50 purples when we get out of here. So we're halfway to that goal of needing 100 purple Pikmin. This thing is a monstrosity. So we're just gonna leave it alone. We're gonna leave that other corpse alone too. I like the attention to detail when the spider-like enemies die. They curl up, because that's how spiders die in real life. I only know this because I've had to kill quite a few spiders in my life because they were threatening my life. Because they were poisonous spiders. Like, no joke. I'm pretty sure I killed a Black Widow one time. Alright, so this is the final floor. We've got some fire here. You know, this dungeon is called the Bulbax Kingdom, which does make me think of the Emperor Bulbax from the original Pikmin. That was a very nice and fitting final boss, you know? I have to admit that much. But, you know, for no particular reason, we are going to take purples, now that we've taken care of the fire threats, and... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No way! No freaking way! It's the... Oh. Well, I was gonna say that was a nice callback to the final boss of the original Pikmin, but kind of just came and went, didn't it? My initial report indicates that the giant Bulbax spat out some sort of object. Beep, boop, boop, boop. It looks fascinating, but it's drenched in that creature's internal juices. Disgusting. Oh, don't roll your eyes at me. I'll store it for you. Beep, boop, boop, boop. So, we need to talk about this. First of all, this thing is nowhere near as huge as the Emperor Bulbax from the original Pikmin. So, here's my theory on this. The Emperor Bulbax that we fight in Pikmin 2 is like a regular Emperor Bulbax. And the one we fought in the original Pikmin was like an alpha or something like that. Like an alpha Emperor Bulbax. And don't forget, there is an Empress Bulbax now. We know that now since we fought one as the first real boss fight of Pikmin 2. So we know there's some sort of monarchy going on here, with the Bulborbs and the Bulblaxes and whatnot. Anyway, this is the Forged Courage. As you probably know, with the last object we collected giving us electricity immunity, this will give us fire immunity. This material has perplexing properties. I will try fusing it with this spare spacesuit. Processing complete. Success! Behold my latest invention, the Scorch Guard. Thanks to the heat-resistant alloy, this suit is now impervious to fire. Beep, beep, boop, boop, boop. Thankfully, they don't waste too much time telling you more or less the same thing as the Dream material. And Emperor Bulbax is worth 15 Pokos. Yep. But like I said, I do hold on to the theory that what we fought in Pikmin 1 was like the alpha. And I'm going to let you guys know this now. We're going to be fighting multiple Emperor Bulbax in Pikmin 2. That's the biggest one that you fight in Pikmin 2, I'm pretty sure. But it's not over yet. We're going to fight more of them. And you're able to toss Pikmin at them while they're jumping from the ground. It's not even just purple Pikmin. Even if you use red Pikmin, they can utterly wreck an Emperor Bulbax in Pikmin 2. Just by tossing a bunch of Pikmin on there and dealing damage before it can even shake them off. At any rate, now that we do have fire immunity, we are able to collect this treasure here, which, upon further inspection, kind of looks like the gyroids from Animal Crossing. And, well, we'll see what it's called. Anyway, this treasure only requires 10. Oh! I could have done 5 more red Pikmin after all. I could have been good with 15. I lost 5 yellows for no reason. But this episode, because we are done with the Bulbax Kingdom, when we get to the above ground, though, we are going to try and, like, put a dent. Try to open up a path to the next cave. Now, we got plenty of those. Anyways, total amount of treasure in the Bulbax Kingdom is 10. Which makes sense, because there was a lot of floors where there was just one treasure, but, you know. And we're 70% of the way done with the depth. Which is pretty good to get so much progress done from one cave. Alright. Now we are back above ground in the Awakening Wood. And, yeah, 70% of the debt recovered. I think we skipped the 60% notification, funnily enough. At any rate, we're not going to need too many purples for this next segment. 25 of those will be good enough. Believe it or not, we're not going to need any reds for the next cave. So we're actually going to have, like, maybe only 5 or 10 reds for the next cave. Again, as kind of a sacrificial kind of thing. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and put those Pikmin up. And we will put all of the reds up because we're going to need more blues. I think we're going to do something like 30 yellows and 30 blues. Yeah, that's what we want to do. And I'm trying to figure out which one is like slightly higher numbers. Then again, we're not going to the cave. I'm just going to spend the rest of the day getting to the cave. Getting it unlocked, as it were. Because, yeah, we're not going to like have enough time. Matter of fact, I'm kind of tempted. But nah, we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Because I really don't think there's going to be that much left to do. We're going to use the spot where the yellow Pikmin were in Pikmin 1 as a way to keep everyone grouped up. Alright, so Louie. Right, so change of plan. We are going to kill the creeping chrysanthemum so that we can extract it for Pikmin seed because we happen to be using Pikmin that could use some more Pikmin numbers. That's pretty handy. Okay, we do want more blues. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's toss some white Pikmin in there. And let's go ahead and split up our forces a bit here. So Olimar will stick over here, and Louie will be in charge of the blue Pikmin. It feels like his calling almost. And I guess we'll have Olimar in charge of the whites and the purples. We're not going to need the yellows right now, I don't think. They're mostly only relevant for the dungeon itself, but we're bringing them along just in case. And furthermore, we will split up just the purples, because we do have yellow Wollywogs in the water. What I'm thinking is, I might try to pull them out with Louie and the blues, and then, hopefully try to kill them off with purples on the ground, because only 25 blue Pikmin, I don't think that's going to be enough to reliably kill. Uh-oh. Okay, you know what? We do have plenty of the spray. We'll use up a spray. No big deal. Some of our blues need nectar anyway, so win-win. Still got plenty of sprays. Still another Wollywog to worry about, though. So see, that one I kind of feel like we could get away with doing the trick. But we gotta form this bridge first. We gotta wait for that, unfortunately. So I guess we'll have Olimar go back to the landing site to reclaim the Pikmin that went over there to propagate the numbers. I don't know exactly how many seeds a creeping chrysanthemum yields. But looking at that, I think it's like 10 or 12. So that's pretty good. So, yeah. Actually, we can get the last overworld treasure. I think we have enough time to do that before we end off this episode. And then, we can pretty much go from there. So, yeah. What I want to do now... Oh! Bridge is done. Alright then. Let's have Louie get all of the blues together. All 30 of them. And be over here. Or rather, over here. And now, we will have Olimar and the 20 purples. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this Wollywog can be lured out. It might be a little finicky, but it could still work. So, yeah, kind of already there. Come on, Yellow Wollywog. That worked out fantastically, actually. Alright, so we're going to want to move back here. We might not be able to get the treasure, but at least we can get everything set up. Alright, so have Louie sit over there. We want white Pikmin because we want them to work on the poison bridge. The bridge that's flanked by poisonous gas. But it's actually more like when you start building the bridge, the generators will unveil themselves. So while they're doing that, we actually want Olimar and Louie and the blues together. Because there's like this puzzle we're going to have to do. For the treasure, as it were. We'll go ahead and have the... Oh my freaking god. Oh my freaking god. Well, that was pretty neat. I still think it resulted in a... Alright, so, bit of a change in plans. I decided to have the blue Pikmin carry back some of the yellow Wollywog carcasses, and not have activity going on while the whites are working on the bridge. That seemed to be a very bad idea. So anyways, let's leave our Pikmin over there, and then now we can try and do the puzzle for the treasure. So, let's get this block down first of all. The problem is, I don't know exactly how many we need, so we'll do like 10 Pikmin here. 2, 4. And we want one captain here with the Pikmin. And then we want to do like, I think 10 Pikmin at least on here. Something like that. I don't know if that'll work. No, it won't, so we're gonna have to go back to the landing site and get the other blue Pikmin. I guess at this point we may as well just have Pikmin laying around. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the treasure, but we can at least try and get it off of its perch. It's kind of funny because the treasure is actually a birdie. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's the thing that you use in tennis, basically. Wait, where are those 3 purple? Oh, maybe they helped out with the Wollywog, right? Yeah, basically had blue Pikmin carry back a yellow Wollywog carcass, so that should come in handy, hopefully. And, yeah, let's get the blues. Let's try to get the treasure out of here, if possible. But I think it might require 15. Oh my god, it does require 15. Gosh darn it. But we have 20 blues here. I guess we only need to do a few more. So, something like this. It's a little sloppy, but I guess it'll work. There we go. Yep. Okay, so they should be working on that, finally. As you can see in the distance, there's a bony wall we have to worry about, but the cave is literally on the other side of that, and we're going to have literally all day. So there we go. But yeah, this treasure is a birdie, I think. It's the thing you use in tennis. You know, make them go back and forth. An air bird or air birdie or air break, as it's called in the treasure. But anyways, we're going to end with 64 blue Pikmin and 46 yellows. That's not bad. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end the day here and also end the episode. Although this was a pretty long episode, so this might have to be split up. I don't know yet. I hope not, but you never know. But let's go ahead and skip the cutscenes since we are kind of on a schedule here and just blitz to this report. Didn't lose any Pikmin and we got plenty of treasures. Yes, indeed. No Pikmin lost. Red Pikmin went down a little bit, but usually when that happens, it's... Oh, and the yellow Pikmin went down a surprising amount, too. Darn? How'd they go down by 10? There were a lot of violet candy pot buds in the Bulbaxes Kingdom. Now we have 40 whites and 50 purples. We still need more purples. The blue Pikmin numbers are looking pretty good, though. And, yeah, still only 2 deaths. I'd say that's pretty good. Some wild animals are nesting under the bridge now. They think I'm their pal or something. My stylish suits are covered in hair. I'm pitiful. But at least they're warm. Literally all we're doing is going straight to the cave. There is a wall we're going to have to demolish, and there may or may not be someone or something guarding that wall. So for the next cave, I learned my lesson in case we run into some candy pot buds, and we're only going to bring 15 purples. Kind of tempted to bring more than 15 whites though, but yeah, I think we're going to stick with this for now. And for the remainder, it does look like we're picking up the pace with blue Pikmin a little bit, which is good. But we're going to bring 30 yellow Pikmin, because I think it's pretty good. You actually don't need red Pikmin at all for the next dungeon. I'm letting you know that ahead of time. So we're going to bring 40 blue Pikmin. That way, if we want to get more purples or whites, we'll use the blue Pikmin for that. I think we can expend 5 yellow Pikmin, worst case scenario. But yeah, this is looking pretty good. Some nectar for the leaf, the blue leaves would be good, but nectar is usually pretty plentiful in caves, rather than above ground where you pretty much have to rely on patches of grass for the most part. But the bridges are already made, and we got the last treasure, so we don't have to spend time doing anything else but going straight for that wall. We're going to destroy the wall, and we're going to get to the cave. And I do have an ultra spicy spray, but I don't want to use it on that. I definitely don't want to use it on the wall. But there might be something guarding the wall. And what is that something? It's a pretty easy to kill with purple Pikmin though. They do a lot of damage. In fact, we totally just one-cycled that thing. Yeah. Oh, but we could actually get some Pikmin seed. Is there perhaps another Snagret around here somewhere? There was in Pikmin 1, I know for a fact. Oh, Iridescent Glint Beetle in the overworld! Oh my god. Well, these are definitely going to be some really good harvesting opportunities. This much probably can't be denied. Where did our other 2 Pikmin go? Oh, and all the way over there. Well, we got a creeping chrysanthemum. Shh, you know, that's... Oh, I also double-checked during the last episode. They give 12 Pikmin seeds each. Which is really good. So, yeah, the more of these we can find, the better. Honestly, I think I'm going to take some time to do this. But apparently it's only 1 creeping chrysanthemum and 1 Snagret here? And the Iridescent Glint Beetle? Is that it? Really? Oh, darn, there was some nectar there. I didn't even notice. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I believe I'm going to have Olimar take the yellows and the purples. Yep. And we're going to have them work on the wall. Look at that. This head of the Snagret. It's just... God, man. Gotta admit, the Snagret is a beautiful looking head, but it's kind of dead right now. Oh yeah, and the ship is going to give us the notification for the cave during this. Intriguing. My acoustic sensors are picking up a high-pitched wail. Beep. It seems to emanate from the area near this gigantic stump. Beep, beep, boop, boop. This large root must penetrate deep beneath the planet's surface. Fascinating. So yeah, the final cave of the Awakening Wood is one that's a very worthy difficulty. And consider the Snagret we had to fight to get to the wall a hint of what you might expect from the dungeon. It doesn't require red Pikmin at all, so you're not going to see any fire-related threats. This dungeon's threats are mostly water, electricity, and poison. Everything but fire. Come to think of it, if there's going to be poison, maybe I should bring more white Pikmin? Well, it'll be alright. I guarantee you there's going to be at least an ivory candy pot bud somewhere. So the Snagret Hole is what this dungeon's called, by the way. It took me a while to get to the name of the dungeon, huh? Oh, boy. And the first floor is still randomly generated for the most part, but not as much. It's a lot more set in stone. Has kind of a tree stump atmosphere to it, which is different. And we're going to have some male shear grubs here, if I'm not mistaken. Quite a few of them by the looks of it. So you need to be careful that they don't get eaten by any of them. And we're also going to have an orange Bulbor, believe it or not. I know, we just finished the Bulbaxes Kingdom, but not going to stop the Bulbors from coming around these places. 15 purples, more than enough to take it down, though. And looking pretty good there. Before we move forward, though, I actually want to swap back to Louie, and we want to bring some white Pikmin over here. 14 ought to be enough, because there's actually 2 treasures here. I don't think there's going to be any more enemies. I think we actually took care of all the enemies on this floor. And 2 treasures. Now, the Snagret Hole has a higher quantity of treasures than the Bulbaxes Kingdom, but they aren't worth as much. So over here, we have this feather. Just a random feather. Could be a Snagret feather, but only requires 1 Pikmin, and it does count as a treasure. So that's something interesting to note. And with our remaining Pikmin, let's put some of them on the treasure, which I believe requires 10 Pikmin, by the looks of it. So that's pretty interesting. And let's grab that, and put the rest of them on the orange Bulborb, which, if I'm not mistaken, should be worth 10 to 12 Pokos. I think it's 10 Pokos, but a Leviathan feather. It's called that because a Leviathan is a kind of giant snake, and the feather because it's the feather of a bird. So, half bird, half snake. I think you get the idea. So, we'll swap back to Olimar, and I guess we'll get some of those shear grub carcasses. I think male shear grubs are worth more than the females. I think they're worth 2, and the female ones are worth 1, because they are literally not a threat at all. So this is going to be the first of a set of several treasures that are like this. They're all marbles with like a thing inside of them. Crystallized telekinesis. I'm going to take a gigantic wild guess and say that they're actually not marbles, but they could actually be Chinese checker pieces. I could be wrong on that, but Chinese checker pieces are actually kind of marble-like in their texture and how they look and everything. Not in terms of function, of course. I mean, Chinese checkers is still checkers to an extent. Alright, took care of the 2 treasures on this floor. We can advance, and hopefully no Pikmin will get left behind, because we still haven't really been able to find any nectar. I will say that I don't hate the Snagret Hole. In fact, in some ways I kind of like it. But it's got some frustrating floors to it. And I do like that it's a dungeon that doesn't require to use... Okay, well, maybe this time we'll actually get a better layout. Maybe one where we don't have to deal with the water. Yeah, it seems like we did indeed get just that. I think I see a creeping chrysanthemum over there. I believe that'll be the first time we see a creeping chrysanthemum underground. A shearwig, too. Haven't seen those since the perplexing pool. So that's interesting. Rather easy to kill, though. But anyways, how did that? Oh crud! Okay. Try to get all the purples together to kill the creeping chrysanthemum. Alright. There we we go. Kind of a close call there because it spawned a little faster than I thought it would. But okay, gotta be careful. Watch out for any burrowing enemies. Now we know they're sheer grubs and sheer wigs here, so we gotta be careful. Although it makes sense to have enemies like that on a garden floor, I think. So, yeah. Thankfully, enemies don't usually insta-kill Pikmin. They usually, Where is the Pikmin? We're down to 99 Pikmin again. Why does this keep happening? Let's look at the radar. How did a blue Pikmin... Oh, they're carrying the body. That's fine, then. Actually, can we whistle the Pikmin from over here and they'll come to us from that way? Oh, that's neat. But we don't want to do that right now. We want to keep moving forward and, let's try to get the treasure. I see some cloaking burrownets. Alright, and some eggs. So we're gonna need eggs, so we didn't get the eggs from last time because we had to reset. Alright. Pretty good. Alright, yeah, that's pretty dang good right there. So the cloaking burrownets are kind of similar to the orange bulborbs, actually. They kind of react to you sooner than you might think. You don't have to get that close for them to leave. Yeah, like that. It can be really annoying sometimes, actually. And that might usually give them an edge. But you see where their face will spawn from underground, usually. And that can be a pretty good indicator of what to do. Let's try to get this other cloaking burrownet. If we can. Again, purple Pikmin just work out so well for combat, it's not even funny. They're broken, but make for a really good tool to utilize. So this is a more favorable layout. I see a treasure over there, and we can just try and get it with blue Pikmin while we leave the other Pikmin over here with another captain to their devices. So, yeah, let's go ahead and split up. We'll have Olimar over here and have Louie over here. Get all the blues. I want them all nectared up real quick. Thankfully, we have plenty of nectar over here to do that. So, let's get them all nectared up right there. And they're going to work on getting the treasure on the other side, which I think is another strawberry. I kind of side-eyed it. But, yeah, well, we already got one strawberry in the Awakening Woods, so it'd be fitting to get another one, and in fact we do. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Okay. Okay. They're alright. Alright, one of them almost got eaten, but like I said... Oh, no! Oh, no! Okay. That's a fairly good usage of the bitter spray, I think. Kind of came out of nowhere. Almost was unprepared for it. Don't want to deal with it. Still got 6 sprays, so we're doing pretty good. Almost got freaked out a little bit over there. How many is this? Okay, this is going to be 12, so... I think while they're working on that, we'll have Olimar work on getting this treasure. So... might be some enemies over here still. Somewhere. I don't know, let's throw a purple Pikmin. Let's throw a couple purple Pikmin there and see if we can bait something out, maybe. It doesn't seem like it. So... and was there another treasure around here somewhere? I guess not. I could have sworn there was a treasure on top of that sand pail. Which is kind of a weird treasure. But, alright, let's just throw our white Pikmin at this treasure. Coincidentally, there's about as many as we have white Pikmin. And I guess we'll have the rest on these carcasses. Carcassi. I'm kidding. I'm pretty sure the plural is carcasses. It's not carcassi. That'd be really funny. Almost sounds like a chronic condition of some sort. So, let's go around here and just get all of these carcasses and have Olimar assemble at the research pod. And the ship likes to describe it. Get some blues on the strawberry. Probably want more than that. Probably have like that many. This seems like a chunkier strawberry than the one we got earlier on in the adventure. Some strawberries do come that way, for what it's worth. So, we will leave Louie with the 18 blues by the exit. And and Olimar will be in charge of the Pikmin that come back with treasure, and can regroup them all together, as it were. It might take a little while, because that strawberry's on the other side. So this is, a taste sensation, but it's based on a Japanese food, which I don't know the name of off the top of my head. I want to say this is some sort of sushi roll, though, with, like, a cherry in the middle, or something like that. I don't know about eating fruit with fish, but, hey, you do you, Japan. You know, they've got their unique tastes and sensibilities, and I won't lie, some of that food is pretty dang good. But, you know, different tastes for different sensibilities and all that and so forth. All that, yeah. That strawberry should be almost here. Yeah, so we didn't have to wait that long. And we'll go ahead and have the rest of our Pikmin on that. Pikmin seem to generally be better about getting treasures in this game, too, or getting objects in general. You're not going to see, like, a bunch of them go, and get exhausted when trying to put them on something. They'll usually regroup back with the captain fairly quickly, in my experience, but, you know, that can just depend sometimes. Alright, this is going to be our second strawberry of the game. The first one was called the Sunseed Berry, if I'm not mistaken. This one's working with a lot of Pokos, too. This is the Combustion Berry. Again, they're the same kind of fruit, but they have, like, slightly different cuts, as it were. You can reset and get a much more favorable layout, so I'm more than happy to take one for the team to show off that possibility. Alright, floor 3. This is called the Snagret Hole for a reason now. And that reason's because there are going to be a lot of Snagrets here. And this floor also has snitch bugs. Yay. So, watch that treasure gauge, because there means there's a Snagret around here somewhere. Just toss Pikmin onto it. Oh, you can one-cycle it without red Pikmin. Holy hell. Believe it or not, I think that might be the only treasure on this floor, though. Oh man, those feathers start flying. Yes, they do. Anyway, our treasure for defeating the Snagret is a sausage. Well, okay. It's a delicious looking sausage, but come on now. I thought we were done with the food related stuff. A meat satchel. Or thankfully, even though this is the Snagret Hole, you won't have to deal with Snagrets on every floor. Oh, and lo and behold, we have the return of the Rust floor from the White Flower Garden. And you remember the beetle larvae from Glutton's Kitchen? Well, not all of them are stationary. Some of them can actually roam around. And it's a good thing we got some purples for that. So we're actually going to have Louie take care of them. If possible. So here's a cannon beetle larva. And this one can be stunned because it's not rooted to the ground. But you gotta be careful because rust floors have bottomless pits on the outer edges. Yes, Pikmin can be shaken off, and if they get shaken off, they can indeed fall into the bottomless pits. It's not fun. Not a fun time, let me tell you. So we got 30 yellows. They can take care of electricity pretty good, and I think that's what we're kind of have to do. Plenty of nectar, though, so that's good. So we'll have Olimar in charge of the yellows and Louie in charge of the purples. Looks like this is mostly an optional path. So we don't have to worry about that. Oh. Be careful here, though. Okay, that seemed pretty good. Pretty safe-ish, seems like. Actually, this doesn't seem like a very large floor, taking another look at it. And we have a new variant of the Fiery Blowhog, the Watery Blowhog. Arguably, oh my god, arguably less threatening than the Fiery Blowhog, but they can still drown your Pikmin. Yeah, armor cannon beetle that drops from the sky. Fall right out of the sky. Oh my god. So we get 20. Alright. Yeah, Watery Blowhog is a new variation of Blowhog. We saw the Withering Blowhog earlier. So yeah, there's a lot of different Blowhogs out there. It's another way of saying a Blowhard. Actually, looks like there's a little bit more over here. How much more? Is a very good question. And there might be a treasure right here somewhere? Maybe? I don't know. Seemed like a job for the purples by the looks of it. Yeah. We're supposed to use blue Pikmin to take care of a watery blowhog, but purple Pikmin do fine as long as you time your attacks correctly, which you should be prone to do. And enemies can't really shake you off if they're dead. If you kill them first. Oh, there is another treasure there. It's a cherry, actually. That's pretty nice. So we can use the yellows to take care of the electric gate. There we go. Check for miscellaneous stuff around the treasure. I'm telling you, you need to get in the habit of doing that. Sometimes an obstacle won't spawn until you actually grab the treasure out of there, which can, of course, be a pretty bad sign. So now, I think we can safely use the rest of our Pikmin to acquire all of the treasures and enemy carcasses on this floor. Safely and methodically. It's not going to be a recurring theme, though, I assure you. It's going to be quite dangerous, in fact. One can even say, "Let's get dangerous." Do-do-do. Yeah, you know how that song goes. But yeah, I believe this treasure is called Cupid's Grenade. Oh, there you go. Because it's a cherry, kind of almost vaguely looks like a heart shape, sort of, and has that stick. So that if you pull the stick out and throw it, maybe it'll blow up like a grenade. I think that's the idea behind that treasure name, but I'm not too sure about that one. That's just Nintendo of America and their localization team just being all chaotic and whatnot. Let them live! Live! Dang it! But yeah, this is gonna be... Well, this treasure's just a magnet. Let's see what they call it, though, and it's worth a good bit of Pokos, actually. The Heavy-Duty Magnetizer. Well, that's actually fairly accurate. Anyway, this is gonna be the second marble after the one we collected earlier. I suppose we might actually see one set of marbles in this dungeon, and another dungeon will have another set of marbles. They all count towards the same set, like treasure group, though, I'm pretty sure. So, that's worth noting. I believe it's 13 regular and 7 purples? It looked like a pretty odd distribution there. Anyway, this is going to be the Crystallized Telepathy. Alright, kind of a weird one for the red marble, I suppose, but... Well, telepathy is a synonym of... It's not a synonym, but it kind of rhymes with apathy. Telepathy. Apathy. I feel nothing. I could get these enemy carcasses, but I'm not going to bother to do that. Let's just finish the 4th floor and move on, as we should only have a couple floors left here in the Snagret Hole. Definitely the hardest dungeon so far. Definitely. And without a doubt, the hardest dungeon in the Awakening Wood. I don't think anybody will try to argue that. Alright, we got another rust-themed floor. This one's a bit more purplish. And we're going to be introduced to a new enemy, actually, that we haven't seen yet. You may notice that the treasure gauge is acting up a bit. It's kind of going haywire. And that's due to that enemy that I'm alluding to. The enemy in question messes up your treasure radar. But I think we're going to use a captain to scout things out to make sure we're not taking our purple Pikmin to die. Not sending them to die, rather. But when the treasure gauge is going haywire, it also makes it hard to track down enemies that have treasures. And yes, some enemies drop from the ground as well. We've seen this happen already. Thankfully, we can use captives to destroy eggs. Ooh! Hopefully we can take advantage of that later on. But yeah, we're mostly just going to go through here, scout things out. There's the exit. That's pretty good. Doesn't seem to be that threatening right now, but... Alright, so there's the enemy right there. I forget what it's called. I think it's an antenna beetle or something like that. Its existence will mess up your treasure gauge, and you have to defeat it in order to get the treasure gauge to work again. So, yeah. Did we uncover all of the map inadvertently? Nah, there's still a bit more. Still a bit more. And we could try to knock out the dwarf orange bulb orbs, with the captains, but it's a little slow. Not really in the mood for that. Now, there's a bunch of these paths just outside that don't really seem to matter that much, for what it's worth. So let's go through here, and that's a dead end. So that's hopeful. Not. And this is a path that will take us back to that central area, I guess, with the antenna beetle, or whatever the heck it's supposed to be. It looks like we're pretty fine to take the purples into combat, you know, just to take the 20 purples and not have to risk anything else. So let's try and see if that antenna beetle will spawn, or jump down rather, and kill any dwarf orange Bulbaxes that try to sneak up on us. And I think one of them has a treasure, which is obviously easier to find if you can actually use the treasure gauge. But you're gonna have to wait on that one, which is fine. That guy's dead. We'll leave that spray there to harvest with 2 captains to try and get 2 instead of 1. Not terribly necessary to do it right now because we have still so many bitter sprays, but they come in handy. And there's the other marble! Alright, that's pretty cool. Pretty sure the antenna beetle itself has a treasure as well, so that's at least 2 treasures. Okay, there it goes. It should be showing back up anytime now. Use purples to stun it. Be very careful that it doesn't shake off the Pikmin on the other side. And alright, we're good. It drops a whistle, which is kind of fitting, I suppose. Just make sure that there are no other no other enemies around here. Looks like we might be good. But before we go for the treasure, I'm gonna have Olimar stick over here. Bring the rest of the Pikmin, of course. And we're gonna try and harvest that bitter spray nectar glob. We know where the treasures are. Not too worried about that. Matter of fact, I think I can just use these Pikmin to get the treasure and some of the carcasses if it's not too inconvenient. So we'll get those carcassi. I'm messing, I know. I'm just messing with you guys. Don't flame in the comments too much. Just like a little bit, just for the algorithm, I guess. Let's get the whistle treasure, and the rest of them can get the antenna beetle. Just enough, seems like? Alright, so let's get 1 captain in position. Over here. Kinda want them to get close a little bit. And then we push. And there we go! Once you master that, it's actually fairly easy to do, but it can be really tough to do it your first time, from my experience. So don't feel too discouraged. It's just so worth it. Because like I said, they rarely show up, right? And it saves you a lot of time not having to grind them up. Crystallized Clairvoyance. I think that one's my favorite of the 3, and it's not just because it's my favorite color, blue. I just like that name, Crystallized Clairvoyance. 75 Pokos for an Emperor Whistle. I believe that name was chosen because of how large of a whistle it is, especially compared to the whistles that Olimar and Louie utilize. Colors, you know, you don't have the red just sticking out like a sore thumb. And I don't say that in a bad way, because red Pikmin are, of course, useful. Admittedly less useful combat-wise, but... Okay, Ivory Candy Pop Bud, there we go. And is this going to be a violet? No, it's a queen! Dang, I wish I knew about that. Actually, I should have known that, because there are some queen Candy Pop Buds in the final floor, funnily enough. There's a couple of them. That's more so to replenish your numbers that you'll likely lose from the boss fight. It's actually a pretty solid base of operations here. So, there's another antenna beetle on this floor. You won't worry about that right this instant. Let's take care of the poison, though, if we can. And there's also going to be some Snagrets on this floor as well. So we want to keep an eye out for that. I don't think we're in any shape to fight right now. There's a Lapis Lazuli Candy Pop Bud. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? Is it a Lazuli Candy Pop Bud or something else? I don't know. Azure? That'd be something. Yeah. Big open area. I just get the feeling that there's going to be a Snagret somewhere there, so I'm not even trying to aggravate anything right now. I'm seeing poison. I'm trying to get rid of the poison. I'm also gonna try and wait to get the, get that, too. So, I guess Louie can hold on to that. Kinda want to get blues, I think, because there's some water on this floor, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's water right there. Hopefully the water doesn't overlap with the Snagret. Oh, there's the antenna beetle. I guess we're going to have to use blues on it. Poison over there. I think we can ignore that poison, though. The antenna beetle isn't difficult with regular Pikmin, of course. It's just kind of inconvenient, I suppose. Like, what is this thing doing? It's so random in what it does, man. Well, that could work. At least we don't have to worry about Pikmin drowning if they get shaken off into the water. Actually, that was a fairly easy fight there. Alright. Well, we're really close to some treasure. You know what? Here's a smart thing to do. Okay, it's pointing to that. Okay. So just keep going around here, scouting, because we can. The exit flanked by poison. Okay. Random orange bulborb falling from the sky that may have a treasure. And there's no treasure right there. It looks like this might be a pretty safe... Oh my freaking god. You have got to be kidding me. Oh my freaking god. Just spawning in the freaking corner like that? Oh my god. You know what? I'm so done with Snagrets right now. It's just spawn out of the ground. Let my blue Pikmin tear you up, please. There we go. There we go. Just poison. Thankfully, they do have less HP than the original Pikmin, so it's even with blues, if you have a good number of them, it seems to be like 2 attacks will be enough, or 2 rounds of attacks will be good enough to take care of them. I don't want to use my spray unnecessarily, you know, because it's just going to be useful later down the line, so don't want to give it up right now. It's got to keep waiting for the Snagrets to get snagged underground, which doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes they just get a good luck chain going where they don't get snagged underground and makes it harder to take care of them without losing Pikmin. Because they can't attack you if they're trying to come up from the ground slowly. This isn't the worst position in the world. I just wish you didn't have to deal with the water. We can use other Pikmin types, you know? But doesn't seem to be the case. Just gotta kind of wait things out. Oh, there we go. Finally, our opportunity. And this Snagret goes down. Does this Snagret have a treasure as well? Because all of the treasure is literally right in this area. Wow, that's nuts. Literally nuts. So let's try to kill... Literally, every treasure is here. There's like 4 treasures here. There's the clover, there's some sort of camera, and then there's the other thing. But we also have that poison gate that's just there. It's kind of awkward. Meanwhile, over here, let's look at the map. Yeah, we've uncovered the entire map. And we have an ivory candy pot bud over here, and a queen. Well, we have 30 yellows, so I think I'm fine doing this. Yeah, I'm pretty fine with that, to be honest. Wish we could do something with the Queen Candy Pot Bud, but the most we could do is turn one blue into another yellow, which might not be a terrible idea, but we need all the blues we can get right now because of, yeah. So they're kind of going to be waiting on the treasure over here, but least I can do is wait, like, right over here by the water, and the white Pikmin should be able to help out speed up the process of getting treasure. We also got to take down this wall, so I'm not going to be worried about getting the enemy carcasses with only 30 blue Pikmin. I'm going to prioritize getting the treasure, and I don't think we have enough blue Pikmin to get all of the treasure in one go. So this might take a little bit. But what I like to do is if a floor is already completely covered and all the treasures are known, yeah, this is going to take 20 right there. Jesus, 1, 2, 3. This thing probably doesn't require that many. I stand corrected. It requires 6. which is a bit more than what one would think. But, well, there we go. They can get that. Looks like I might have to come back for the camera, though. But that clover is a pretty easy acquisition. So, yeah, I'm thinking, we're just gonna jump cut through the treasures, so. Okay, so that actually didn't take that long, but yeah, we used kind of a chain going there. Dannon! Fruit on the bottom. Heard of that. Haven't heard of it in a while, but it was a thing. Salivatrix. That's kind of funny. I mean, I don't think that's the tastiest thing in the world, but okay. Treasure number 2 of 4 on this floor. I think it's 4. This is a clover, a 4-leaf clover. It's called a science project, for some reason. I guess it could be a project of some kind. For a botanist, I suppose. And this is a shish kebab of some kind. It's got a bunch of things on it. It's got a stick known as the triple sugar threat. It's kind of like a desert kebab then. Or a dessert kebab, I should say. Not desert, because that only makes you think of one thing. And, you know, wouldn't want to eat desert. I wouldn't want to eat dessert in the desert. Okay? I'm not trying to make funny wordplay, I'm just saying. So this little camera is going to require 10. So we'll do that. And then we'll throw 3 on the dwarf orange. And then 10 over here, I think. Oh, no, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. And then some on the antenna beetle. And I guess we'll put the rest on the camera. So we'll do that. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, that should be good. So we will leave Louis by the exit that's flanked by poison. Pretty sneaky way to bypass all that, hopefully. Wouldn't it be just amazing to lose Pikmin at the very last minute when we already have almost all the treasure? Fun to think about, isn't it? So at any rate, this is, I think it's a camera. Sunrise 8X. Like a camera lens of some sort. This is the stupendous lens, yeah, so. Oh boy. So, the boss of the Snagret hole, I know what you might be thinking. It's probably some sort of upgraded Snagret, right? Like an Emperor Snagret. You probably could consider it something like that when you see it. And it's a pretty tough enemy. I'm gonna say that right now. But before we do that, I do want to show off that around the arena, there are going to be nectar eggs, including bitter spray. Wow. And I do want to show that off before we trigger the boss. So let's take down all of the gates that we can and harvest all of the eggs. I mean, if they have nectar spray, that's pretty good, but yeah. Nectar is, it's going to be very important in this fight. I will mention that much. Because if it's an upgraded Snagret, the basics of how to defeat a Snagret in Pikmin 2 still mostly apply to this boss. Just letting you know, it's basically just beefier, is one way to describe it. So, let's do stick. And you see there's a Queen Candy Pop Bud there to replenish your Pikmin in case they get eaten. And there's the freaking boss. The boss is the Pileated Snagret. Or Pileated Snagret? It can hop around! Ain't that great? Ain't that just great? As if Snagrets weren't hard enough already. Anyway, I do want to knock out these gates and try to get all of the eggs. And we're going to take a very brief intermission. I think this is the last egg. I could swear there was another candy pop butter in here somewhere, but it looks like we've scoured the entire arena, so let's knock down this gate and destroy that egg. Let's try to get some nectar, and we'll just use this as, like, the base of operations. And I will be right back. Alright, Pileated Snagret, use the treasure gauge to figure out its location. Feel free to use bitter spray here. You're not going to be able to do a lot of damage to it, but the bitter spray buys you some time, which can be good, so, you know, just take advantage of that. And when it takes enough damage, it'll just go right back into the ground. Just fine, but really slow. This fight is really slow. And because of how long it can drag on, losing a Pikmin during it is even more painful than normal. But thankfully you can use eggs to keep your nectar, or you can use nectar to keep your Pikmin flowered up. So at least that much is good. Where's the Pileated Snagret? Oh! So there we go. Toss Pikmin at it. Do as much damage as you can. Usually you do enough damage to where it'll just go back in the ground. It's a really repetitive fight in that regard. But, yeah. Did I just miss a lot of Pikmin there? It seemed like it. But you don't want to use a very large army for this, because you're going to lose track of your Pikmin really quickly, especially as the Pileated Snagret keeps shaking them off. I'd recommend only maybe 30 to 40. We got 45. 25 yellows and 20 purples. The purples are for damage. You're using the yellows otherwise because they have better reach. So they have better reach for the Pileated Snagret because it's so tall. Even when it comes out of the ground, it is so tall that it needs... It doesn't really need, but having the yellow Pikmin helps out a lot. I guess if there's one downgrade from the original Snagret compared to the Pileated is that they don't seem to attack as fast as a regular Snagret does. That's all the Snagret can do is attack. But the Pileated Snagret, it can attack and it can move around. So it's got multiple things going for it. And yeah, that could definitely add to the difficulty. That and how much defense that this one has. But there's a reason why this one has so much defense. It's because of the treasure you get from it, believe it or not. Why they did it like that, I don't know, because it just makes this fight drag out an ungodly amount of time, and you're using Bitter Spray not necessarily make this fight easier, you're using it to potentially make this fight less repetitive, because you don't have to wait on the Pileated Snagret to come out of the ground as much, I suppose. Which could be useful, I don't know. But just wait for it to come out of the ground, hopefully, toss yellow Pikmin at it, and I don't know, now I'm going to have to Blitzkrieg it, because it's just trying to eat Pikmin, and if I don't kill it now, it's going to eat my Pikmin, so, like, yeah, I'm just going to have to Blitzkrieg it now. That's what all this Bitter Spray is for, I guess. And BAM! Finally took it down, Jesus. And we only used, what, 2 or 3 Bitter Sprays? That's not bad. That was like the 4th reset, by the way. You've done it. That bird beast will trouble you no more. Processing. How curious. What's that impressive, mechanized masterpiece? One robot appreciating another one, huh? Actually, I think it's supposed to be like a toy robot or something like that. Anyway, since I had to reset, the layout of the floor has also been reset to an extent. But not that big of a deal. We can regroup with our Pikmin. Get the treasure, and we're going to have to knock down the gate to the geyser, as it were. And just get all of our Pikmin flowered up. But the reason why that Pileated Snagret in particular is so tough and takes so little damage is because of this, the Justice Alloy. This is an upgrade that will decrease the amount of damage you take from enemies to your captains. So, it can only be so useful, but it's one less thing to worry about, because if you lose a captain, like if all of their health gets drained, and you lose a captain, having to only be able to... being able to only play as one captain instead of both sucks. It seems to make the fight less annoying, because you don't have to wait on the Snagret to come out of the ground as much. It just makes things go by a bit smoother. 15 treasures, which is more than there were in the Glutton's Kitchen, so yeah. If we're going by the treasure count, and assuming that that's how the developers intended you to do the dungeons in that order, yeah, this would be the latest one, for sure. At any rate, back in the Awakening Wood, we are now 80%, over 80% done with the depth. That is a lot, which is good. We still have half of the day. I'm going to spend the rest of the day just propagating Pikmin numbers. We already got all the treasures, so I'll meet you guys back when it is sunset. Alright, well, managed to collect a few more ultra spicy sprays, so now the count is kind of even on both sides in terms of bitter and spicy. And the Pikmin numbers are looking pretty good. Could be better, but they're looking pretty good, and we're about to see them for today's report. Yep. plenty of funds earned. 1,344, yeah, that's pretty good, I would say. Didn't get a chance to see how much a pileated Snagret was worth, but I guarantee you it's probably 15 Pokos. Still only at 2 Pikmin lost. Okay. Red Pikmin went up a little bit. Look at the number for the yellows. I'll leave you guys to that. 90 blues is pretty good, and then 50 whites and 55 purples. It's also pretty good. We're more than halfway to 100 purples, which is what we need for a treasure way down the line, so that's pretty good pace so far. Olema, you'll soon be promoted to manager. Only a small bit of debt remains. You've done great, as have I. No one dodges debt collectors like I do. I'm a pro. At any rate, Awakening Wood has been finished off. So next time on Let's Play Pikmin 2, hopefully we're going to be able to pay off the debt as we begin our journey to finishing off the Perplexing Pool. And the first dungeon we're going to do in the Perplexing Pool is actually a rather infamous one. Don't know if we're going to be doing it right away, but we are going to be doing it. And it might be pretty painful. So I hope you guys look forward to that. And yeah, just take good care of yourselves. We have all of our Pikmin, but the journey is far from over.